Okay, we're live. Hi, party people. Cool. I'm going to get rid of that because it's too crazy to look at. We're going to go ahead and start recording the podcast. This is the live version of the podcast recording. Welcome into the studio, y'all. Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream. It's so great to have you here. As always, every morning, this is, meant to be your cup of tea to start your day, or coffee, or whatever it is you need to get your juices flowing. We are here for you every day. So, one of the ways that we start every morning is by grounding ourselves in our greatness. Now, why is that important? Just because it is. It's so important. And I know there are a lot of different practices. There are practices of gratitude grounding. There are practices of a lot of different things. Now, my belief is built on the importance of greatness grounding and you sort of setting your day up for success and the success that you envision for your life. So what does that look like? Maybe just talking about how awesome you are. And how does that shift that belief of maybe you not thinking you are so awesome? And I think a lot of times that's how we think as women, as just people in this world of ours. But a lot of times the women that I talk with, the athletes that I've coached, the people that I've worked with one-on-one, struggle with this belief that they are not, in fact, great, or they're not doing great things. And I think that's so wrong. Every single day we wake up, we breathe, we walk on this earth. You are doing amazing things. So that's what I like to ground ourselves in, because as soon as we start doing that, as soon as we start adopting that practice, we are instantly shifting that belief. We start looking to validate the new belief that we want to have. And so greatness grounding basically is forcing you to adopt a new belief, and it's forcing you to look for the great things versus the opposite. And I think a lot of times that's where we spend a lot of our time, right? Focused on how terrible we are, how terrible life is, how bad we are at things. And greatness grounding really promotes the focusing on the exact opposite. So that's why I love to start our day here. That's why I think it's imperative. So let's go ahead and ground ourselves. If you have a great thing, you can always share that on our webpage. I love to share listeners' great things, something that you feel really proud of, that you want to be celebrated. One scroll down, you'll find the entry space and you can type anything you want in there, but make sure that you just type in your great thing so we can celebrate with you and for you. We do digital chest bumps, which are a thing. They are now since COVID. I mean, welcome to the new world. If you're lucky enough and I ever meet you, we could do a live chest bump. I'd be so happy about that. But go over there and check that out if you want to enter your own great thing. If you're feeling all hopped up and excited about how amazing you are, which you should be, and you should enter one every single day because we're doing this every day. You realize this, right? So my great thing from yesterday was this callback of myself of it's so hard now moving into this new world, into this new place. It's really hard to not shift back to what's comfortable and remembering things that made me successful, things that I enjoy doing, things that are important to me. And so yesterday was the first time that I was like, we want to be outside. We want to do things. Why have you just been sitting in the house this whole time? The building of this wasn't meant to sit you in an office, even if it is your home office. The building of this, really, the importance of it for you was to have that ability to move with it, to take it with you, to go to the park and to blog or to write or to whatever. And, I think when we're tested, when we have new limits, when we're pushing new things, when we're moving into new patterns, that's when we go back, right? We revert back because it's like, oh no, this is new, this is unsafe. We should do the normal things. And the funny thing is, that's exactly what I was trying to escape by leaving my full-time job, right? I wanted to escape the sameness, the everydayness, the sitting in a cubicle, all the things. And yet that's exactly what I reverted back to when I got this new freedom. And so it's been a constant, and I've talked about that over the last 4 weeks, it's been a constant struggle to not go back there. And so today we're going to talk about, this whole new beautiful set of limiting beliefs that I've created in this new adventure. And I think hitting that topic might be important for you and all of us because we're constantly going to be growing and evolving. And so thinking that those limiting beliefs aren't going to be coming right with you is just crazy talk. And I really thought, I got over the 3 that were holding me back from living this dream life. I'm good, right? Check the box. Wrong. These things are going to grow. They're going to evolve. They're going to change into all new limiting beliefs. So we're going to talk about the new ones that I've created for myself, the new ones that keep coming up as I've journeyed to a new chapter of this path. And we're going to talk about ideas, and I haven't sat fully on this because this morning I was just thinking man, we kind of have a whole new set, don't we? A whole new set of beautiful limiting beliefs in front of us. And that's been a part of this journey, is really getting past those first ones that were holding me back. And now I'm realizing we have new ones. So I'm going to walk through my process that I set myself up for to transition past any limiting belief that I have. And I guess I didn't realize that I had a whole new set. It's a whole new world. I can't remember the word, something, point of view. We can go anywhere. I'm sorry, Jasmine and Aladdin. That did not do that song justice, but that's kind of where I'm at, right? We're in a whole new world. So thinking that, hey, those limiting beliefs aren't going to come with you is completely wrong. But what I do think is interesting is that they've taken new shape, and that's super cool because, limiting beliefs suck, but I think it's cool to think that now that we've transitioned past kind of the first set that we needed to get over, is that they'll kind of rise and grow with wherever you're headed. So that's what we're going to dive into today. But I think more than anything, the greatness grounding has been in that realization that there are new things holding me back, and that I was trying to go back to where I was comfortable, right? That this is how we need to do this, that this is how money is made, that this is the constructs of what we need to do. And it just can't exist like that, right? It's something different. And so that made me realize that I have new limiting beliefs. How exciting! It's so exciting. And we're about to work through those things. I didn't know. So here we go. That's my great thing. Make sure that you take time to recognize yourself for your great thing. See, my thing wasn't even a physical big movement. My thing was mental. It was all up here. What is holding you back now? How are we kind of reverting back to where we were, and how do we start moving forward from that? And this was such a huge leap into being an entrepreneur. I didn't as I don't do anything, but I didn't just dip my toe in the water, although I did, right? It wasn't just as if I dove into this place and I said, oh, I'm going to start a podcast. Okay, boom, entrepreneur, right? I've been working on this for every day for a year, and honestly probably about 2 years, trying to figure this out, trying to research, and by no means are we a professional, are we killing it in this world, but we went all in almost a month ago now, and I think that's a whole new set of things that we come up against. And so that realization, which it took me, 4 weeks, and you can add in a vacation there. Not that I stopped working, just that I did tap out for a little bit to just kind of calmly reflect and be fully present there. And we talked about that. You were here for that. But I think more than anything, great things don't have to be huge waves. It is as simple as calling out something you feel great about. I felt great about thinking that through, about realizing that that was where I was at and it's okay, right? And giving myself grace there. So let's go ahead and dive in. Take time today. Recognize yourself for your great thing. It's so, so important. I can't even tell you how important it is. I don't even want to. I don't want to tell you. Just do it. Okay? Please just do it. Okay. So on a whole new set of limiting beliefs. These are so fun because I really was like, okay, I have pretty consistent limiting beliefs. It took me about a year to get over those things, and that took constant work, reassurance, and callback. And those things still come up, but they are not as strong as they were before. And as I've been working those down, as I've been talking myself out of those limiting beliefs, I have found new ones, and definitely new ones that come along with this whole new journey in this new place. And so those new ones are like kind of crazy, right? And how do we transition past those? And I want to use the same concept that I used last time. So if you notice that things, and I'm working on transitioning this platform because I think we're kind of past that place and we can start cleaning it up. But if you notice things aren't capitalized and they aren't appropriately punctuated all the time, I intentionally did that from the start to transition myself past the limiting belief that I had that I wasn't smart enough to write and post content. Now, the jury's still out on that one. I'm certain that you read things and you're like, does she even spell check? Trust, I do my best, but my spirit as an Enneagram 7 pushes me to move very quickly on to the next thing. And you can trust that editing is not one of the things that excites me in life. And so that's just where we are. It doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It just means that that's where we are. And I hope as we continue to grow through this, probably the first thing that I'm going to hire myself is an editor. Okay? I realize. But I had this limiting belief that I wasn't smart enough to do something like this, to write, to produce. And so in that, I had to set myself up with a daily habit that was going to show me that it was okay, right? And so that daily habit was producing content that was imperfect. So I forced myself to not capitalize things. I forced myself to do now the spelling errors or the missing of words. That's not intentional. That's just literally who I am, and we're all going to be okay if there's a missing word. Maybe. I don't know. But that process was intentional because I had to show myself that people would still listen, people would still respond, people would still like what I was doing, even if there were errors. And so I intentionally put errors into my work to prove to myself that it was okay, that I could show up as myself and find a following. Okay, so that is what I did every day, and what I began to see in doing that, right? And that wasn't from the start. I didn't have listeners and readers and people who could show me that they would like this regardless from the start. But in doing that, when that came back up, because usually they come back up around 4 to 6 weeks of doing the work, because your motivation has kind of burnt out after that, right? Remember, if you've ever gone on a diet or if you've ever started a new workout, you can get pretty jazzed up about anything for about 4 weeks, right? You can listen to the things, you can do the things, but eventually that wears out. And so if you haven't created sustainable habits that also have proof aligned with them, we can burn out from that thing. So my sustainable habit was that I was going to do this podcast and I was going to write every day with imperfections. And the proof of that would be if people listened or reacted or whatever. And by the time I got to that burnout mode at about 4 to 6 weeks, I had done it enough times, right? 6 weeks of doing anything every day is going to build you up a lot of confidence in your ability to do said thing. And I had shown myself that people would react. Negatively, positively, I just said react, okay? And they would listen regardless. So boom, right? We're past that. No, it kept coming up, but as it kept coming up, I had more and more proof that it was okay, right? That people would listen regardless. And so now we're transitioning past that place, because while that's still an underlying limiting belief, it's not one that's in front of me every day like it was. Hold on. Okay. Sorry, I had to take a drink. I had a tea leaf or something. Okay. So now that we're past that one, the new ones, these new exciting ones, which really come along with this major life change. We've moved into me working full time on this endeavor. And so, along with any major change, there's probably going to be a whole new set of limiting beliefs. And I would say that I have 2 pretty solid limiting beliefs that have followed me in this transition. The first one being, you don't know how to make money, and you can't make money doing what you want. Oh, that's a tough one. Dang it. Okay. Good. That's our first one. Second one that's really been hitting on me lately is that it can't happen just anywhere. You need more structure. You need more limits, right? Let's box it back in. You've gone too crazy. And that limiting belief, I think, really just comes from what I have been fighting my entire life as an adult in having to think outside of that box and wanting to. This is why I wanted to go down this path, was to escape the box and the narrow-mindedness that comes along with it. Can we think bigger? Can we do it different? Can we build a world that aligns with your ever-changing and moving mind? Yeah. If we can't, we're about to be in trouble, because that's what I want to do. And so that's what we need to get past, right? And so you say, oh, Hannah, how are you going to get past those things? These are 2 new limiting beliefs that have been coming up, that have been ever present. right? So how do we transition past those? Because these are less tangible than my last ones, right? You're not smart enough. And so we can create everyday posts that say that we are. Okay. But not being able to make money, right? That's a real thing. That's a real scary belief that you may or may not have as you make this transition. And if I'm going to keep believing that, that is going to limit my ability, right? Yeah, if we're scared of making money or thinking that we're never going to be able to, you can guess what's going to follow that. Never making money. That would be a good follow-up. Right? And so the second one, not being able to trust when I'm being called to move, to have a meeting, to just go talk with someone, to just go do all the things that are put on my heart and in my head. That second one, how do we move past that? How do we move past this old world where it needs structure and it needs exactness and it needs all of these things in order for it to be successful? So let's hit that one first because that one seems easier. Now, I have things that are very structured in my day, right? These things have served me well. They keep me on track. They move me through. Now, as an Enneagram 7, I struggle with any sort of structure. It's why when I started to realize that that's who I was and that that's why these types of scenarios drive me crazy, when I really sat down with that, I realized that structure and exactness exhausts me, and I will be forever fighting it if that's what I do. So I have a really great morning structure that serves me well, that helps me move through producing daily content. Okay? So that's something that I've done. That's something that I've always moved in. So that's not something that's going to move. Now, on the back half of that day, right, as we look to how we create a day that's unstructured, that moves with wherever we're called to be, this is where it gets tricky for me. Because to me, in order for it to equate work, I have to be sitting at a desk. Now, that's not true. I know plenty of people that do this kind of work that barely sit at a desk at all. And so it's possible, but my mind, my constant belief is telling me that it is not. And that brings me back to this desk, and that brings me back to a situation that I really worked to escape. So we have to get past this limiting belief. We have to. It's going to hurt us if we don't, right? Because eventually I'll be like, why did I even do this? I'm doing exactly what I was doing before. Yes, I'm doing more work that I enjoy, but it's the same thing in a different location. Now, is it better regardless? Yeah, because I'm sitting at home and I have the ability to control what I do and don't work on, but it's still not where I want it to be. So let's get past that one. Now, I like to create a daily habit because that's going to create a stronger set of examples for myself when I get past that motivation point. So any limiting belief that I have, I want to set up a daily habit around that. So my daily habit of doing work that isn't in an office. My daily habit is going to be to do one blog post from a location that isn't my desk every day. Okay? And it doesn't have to be that big, right? If writing is something that's going to end up taking me down, which now I've built up a pretty good exercise of it, so it's something that I'm getting more comfortable with. I'm fine with writing more. That wasn't something that I started out being comfortable and confident with. So had I been doing this and getting over this limiting belief a year ago, that wouldn't have been my go-to, right? My go-to would have been podcasting at a different location, something that I could do reasonably. But now that we've transitioned past that and we've gotten better at writing and doing that confidently and daily, we can do this and transition in this way. So to get over the idea that I can't build this where I am, that I can't do things in an unstructured way, I'm going to commit to doing a daily blog post from somewhere other than my desk. Now, this will have a lot of downstream excitement because it'll give me a lot more opportunity to do these things. So that's my first limiting belief, that it has to be in a box and at a desk for me for it to have worth. It doesn't. And I'm going to prove that to myself by blogging from a different location every day. Okay? That's my first one. My second one is that I'll never make money as an entrepreneur because I've gone crazy to think that I could. Okay? This is a heavier one. Now, first, in order to make money, you probably have to ask for money. That might be a good way, right? When you go in for a job interview, you're not like, let me go ahead and do this for free because I just want to. No, generally there's an exchange of value, right? You're exchanging your time for money. So I'm doing that in a different way, where there's not someone sitting there with a check stub waiting to pay me for my time, right? I have to go and figure out how to make money in this new way. Now, for me, that comes with the exchange of value. So the first way that I ask for money, potentially, would be just in asking, hey, all of you, you realize that there is a support page for this content. Now, you can support the Death of a Dream and myself and my family by heading over to nussinc.com/support. Now, in that, you can pay me for this work however you want. One, there's a higher level subscription. You can subscribe and you can help generate content for this. So that looks like Facebook Live once a week with me and our community there. And we're going to talk through things that you're experiencing. And we're going to chat a whole bunch with our community about whatever it is that you're up against, that you're struggling with, and help each other through that. Okay, now with that subscription, that's going to cost $50 to be a part of that community for 1 year. Now, it's an awesome community because we go pretty in depth. You are allowed to be free in that space and connect with me. And you get to be a part of what this content becomes as it continues to go out in the world. So that's one of the asks. The second one is just like, dude, this has really helped me, this podcast, and I just really like you and I want to support you. So no strings attached. Here's $20. Like you, like what you're doing, like what you're about. Here you go. Okay? So those are two of the ways that I'm asking for money. Okay? That seemed super easy to talk about that. If you're into that, go ahead. It's out there. Now, can I create new ways of making money? And this one I'm going to have to kind of circulate on and think about a little bit more. But what could I do every day related to money and this belief that I'll never make money as an entrepreneur? I need more time to think on that one. That's a pretty deeply seated one. So I'm going to reflect on that one because I don't quite have the answer yet. But the first one that we're transitioning past really is in blogging from a different location that isn't my office every day to get past this belief that I have to be sitting at a desk in order to make money and add value. Wrong. We don't. So that's the first one. The second one, I'm going to brainstorm a little bit because I don't want to bring in some weak answer to that problem. That's a pretty heavy one, but let's go ahead and think on that one a little bit more and go for it. Okay. So those are my 2 new limiting beliefs that came up. And that's how we're going to start transitioning past one of them. I'm still going to brainstorm on the second one. Thank you so much for being here. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.